Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, comrades and friends, we have another video for you here today with respects to the Charlie Kirk assassination. Now we now know the name of the suspected shooter, a man by the name of Tyler Robinson, this person you can see here on screen. And we now know a decent little bit about him, nothing too crazy, but we did recover a few things. One, we now have the gun, as you guys have probably seen. We know what was written on the casings, which definitely tells us that this dude was a leftist. I mean, you can tell it's just like very like anti-fascist, like Antifa rhetoric. And then there's a word you haven't heard in years, by the way, Antifa rhetoric. But also we have a little bit more information with respect to his background, such as, for instance, he attended Utah State University for a little bit and was actually a part of an apprenticeship technical program for electrical. With that said, let's start, ladies and gentlemen. So what's going on here, right? How did they catch this guy? Well, they had CCTV footage and they refused to release it, courtesy of Kash Patel, and eventually they would release it, and we then got some footage of the man, or some still shots and footage, and you can see him hopping off a roof at one point and like landing down. It looked like a pretty far drop too, I'm not gonna lie, and that's where I'm pretty sure they got some of those footprints from. And then they obviously could use those to see what type of shoes the man was wearing. And then we also have his gun, which was recovered in the wooded area that he was in. And where that wooded area was, we actually have a gun that was found called a Mauser Model 98 bolt action hunting rifle with a scope. Now, I told you guys, and I was probably one of the only people on the internet, by the way, even though I only have like 300 subscribers, I was probably one of the only people who said that is an easy shot to hit, especially with a bolt action rifle. I mean, Jesus Christ, yo, a hobbyist could hit that, no problem. This is not some crazy government conspiracy. Everybody likes to hype it up, and I know it's fun to talk about conspiracy theories, but that's just not the case, right? Anybody could hit that shot with a little bit of training. And so, like, I don't know, this is being blown way out of proportion here. But he did have a hunting rifle. And alongside that rifle here, we have a bunch of unfired, casings, that we can get some evidence with respects to what type of what his political beliefs were. We also have his party registration. He wasn't registered as a Democrat. He was actually a unaffiliated. So he was not a Democrat. But look, I've talked to hundreds of leftists throughout my life, and probably hundreds, I don't know, tens of leftists at least. And I can tell you for a fact that a lot of them hate Democrats. Just like I don't necessarily like Democrats, but I am a Democrat. But they like really hate them. And so like it makes sense. Like a lot of the people I know who are leftists, like they didn't even vote because they were just like, well, I hate both parties so much, right? So they're just like paralyzed in indecision. And so I can imagine that's why he's unaffiliated. But you can clearly tell the man is a leftist. And reading these casings here, I think that makes it very evident. So the first one here was actually inscribed with "Hey Fascist, catch." So it seems to be a direct antagonistic message, framing the target as a fascist and taunting them, suggesting that the shooter saw Charlie Kirk or his politics as fascist. We also have the second casing here, which said "Bella Ciao, Bella Ciao, Bella Ciao, Ciao Ciao," which is an Italian anti-fascist folk song. Sung historically by partisans resisting fascist regimes out there in World War II. And so, this was widely adopted by leftists and anti-fascists. You can think of the Antifa types, and it's just sort of circulating around that movement there. Anti-right rhetoric, right? So if you read this, you are gay, LMAO. That was the next one. That was number 3. So if you read this, you are gay, LMAO. And again, it's more trolling, mocking, meme-style inscription, provocative, seems intended to provoke or mock rather than express organized political ideology directly. That's what ChatGPT says. And so I'm reading out for you guys here. And then obviously we all know what LMAO means. Then he says, notices bulges, OWO, which I'm not sure if that's like supposed to be like ooh-woo, right? Like you ever see like the ooh-woo online? Then it says, what's this? And it might be a reference to, it says internet furry roleplay is parent. That's what ChatGPT is saying here. And it says ooh-woo is often used in online roleplay furry fantasy context. What's this is a common meme phrase, may intended to mock or layer in irony or absurdity. And then the last one here, it says we have some unfired casings along with "Hey Fascist, catch," etc. There's a bunch of like directional arrows. It seems like it may be a gaming reference they're saying. Who knows? I don't know. Right, but the exact motive here for the killing is unclear. So when his dad actually turned him in, by the way. His dad and a youth pastor actually turned him in, and apparently he like expressed before dislike of Charlie Kirk. That's what his family is saying. Just in like recent times, considering he became a little bit more political as he got older. And from there, it sounds like he started discussing when Charlie Kirk was going to visit, Utah Valley University, and then, expressing some negative opinions. But they really had no idea that he was going to go out and do something as crazy as this. And so, the family knew they didn't like him, but they didn't think he'd go kill the guy. So pretty crazy there. He was also attending Utah State University at some point, took some credits in a tech program. It sounds like he was actually enrolled in an electrical apprenticeship, a technical program, by the time he was arrested. So interesting stuff there. That's pretty much all we know about the guy so far. I imagine as time progresses, we're going to learn a lot more about this man. I imagine his friends will start coming out in droves, saying every little thing about him. But one of the things I'm particularly interested in, and I seen a rumor floating around online, and you can't trust the rumor mill, right? And so I like to preface that, right? Because I don't like to be the peddler of conspiracies like a lot of people are online. Like I told you, this is probably not some deep state thing. I know there was the whole jet situation or whatever, and honestly, look, if that were true, the whole jet thing, which was unverified, by the way, everybody forgets to mention that, but that's what they're claiming, and at first, at the start, but people just sort of ran with it. So true or not, right? With respect to the radar and the jet, right? Things are you gotta label things as conspiracy sometimes. And one of the things that I heard so far, and it was just coming out, was that he was actually a man who was reported on the roof in the past few weeks scouting out that location. And apparently a professor was involved or something, with reports, or maybe told about it, but a student was reporting this man on the roof. And I was like, yo, if that's the case, that's pretty crazy, right? It's like, well, the FBI is like, they're always, aware of the threat. They're always tipped off. They never did anything, right? It's like, well, now you have that same situation happening again. So relatively crazy stuff, ladies and gentlemen. Relatively crazy stuff. I believe Charlie Kirk was even given the Presidential Medal of Freedom today, or whatever the highest honor is for civilians. Usually goes to people like Nancy Pelosi. And so, they gave it to Charlie Kirk, after his death. So relatively interesting there. But then I saw a clip today of Trump, and you can tell Trump Trump didn't give a fuck, dude. They asked him well, how you feel after your friend, after your friend, your close friend just died, right? And they were just trying to ask him something along those lines. And Trump essentially he's like I feel pretty good today. And then he starts talking about a ballroom, and I'm like, bro, dude, what are you talking? Actually, let me see if I can find that. That was actually so out of pocket. Hold on, I might be able to find it. We'll have to see. Let's see. I think I liked it. Maybe I didn't. I hope I did. Oh yeah, here we go.
My condolences on the loss of your friend, Charlie Kirk. Can I ask for a question? How are you holding up over the last 3.5 days?
I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks. They've just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House, which is something they've been trying to get, as you know, for about 150 years.
Let's repeat that again.
My condolences on the loss of your friend, Charlie Kirk. Can I ask for a question? How are you holding up over the last 3.5 days?
I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks. They've just started construction of the new ballroom for the...
Dude, bro, this dude is so he's not even a real person, dude. I swear. This. So they asked him. They're like, my condolences to you, Mr. President. How are you feeling? How are you holding up? And he's like, oh, I'm doing pretty good. He's like, and by the way, he's like, see those trucks over there, bro? What? You're not. What? I don't know, man. I don't know. I just thought that was something interesting there. But obviously not good, ladies and gentlemen. Can't kill people for political beliefs. This is just, it's unacceptable, right? I mean, this is a man who's just using his free speech. Now, like him or not, doesn't matter, right? I didn't like the guy, right? But you can't go around killing people that you just disagree with, right? Because the second you do that, then all of a sudden you could be killed because, people are going to disagree with you. I mean, look at politics, right? I mean, most of the time it's 50-50. You never know. I mean, at best case scenario, are probably getting 65% of a vote as a president. That's best case scenario, especially in this world, right? We don't live, 100 years ago when you could actually get, higher percentages of votes. And so, who was the last popular president? I don't know, Reagan maybe, right? Who was blowing people out. Nowadays things are very divisive, and geez, man, we can't go around, just randomly doing really bad things to people because we dislike their opinion. So. Ladies and gentlemen, hope you guys enjoyed the video here today. Interesting, news unfolding here. I imagine we'll get some more in the coming days, and maybe we'll talk about it. So have a good one, and we'll talk to you later. Hit that subscribe button, by the way, We would love to see it. Wait, hold on. Oh man, I forgot the channel banner. There we go. Hit that subscribe button. Bye, ladies and gentlemen.